Hi, this is April. Welcome to Crochet After Dark, podcast episode number 7. If you're new here, this is a weekly podcast where I share with you things that I've been working on during the week, as well as anything I finished, so my finished objects for the week. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. If you watched my video from last week, you would know that I have 20 works in progress. And while that may seem like a lot, I don't work on all of them each week. So this week, I actually have 3 items that are moving off of that works in progress list. 2 have moved to become finished objects, and 1 is going to be frogged, and I'll explain why in a moment. I also have 2 new whips that I started this week, and I'd love to show those to you. Let's have a look. Getting started with my 2 finished objects, the first one that I have is this marshmallow blanket. Now, if you've seen previous podcast episodes, you would know that this is a mostly finished blanket that I found in a storage bin that was put away with finished projects, but it had some ends that needed to be weaved in. So I've gotten everything all weaved in on this project, and it is good to go. So this is coming off the whip list and is now a finished object. This is the marshmallow blanket, and I will link to the YouTube video tutorial for it in the description below. So that's the first one off of my whip list. My second finished object is this vintage stitch that I did with the Karen cinnamon swirl cakes. And you may have seen me mention this stitch before. I think I'm going to call it the sprinkle stitch. I haven't been able to find it online if it has another name, but it kind of has like a sprinkle pattern to it when you work it up in a self-striping yarn like this one. So this worked up really nicely. It was fun to work on. It's a super simple stitch. It's a variation of a single crochet. And then I used the same vintage book. I think it's a book from 1916 that I found this stitch in. Also had a blanket border in a separate pattern for a different blanket, but a blanket border. And I took that blanket border stitch and I kind of modified it for this blanket. And it has kind of a really cool keyhole look to it that I thought was super neat. So this one's all finished up. I will be filming a tutorial for this one. I have a couple of tutorials still in my backlog that I need to get done, but this is one of them. But yeah, I'm super happy with the way this came out, and it's a nice big blanket and it's super soft. The cinnamon swirl cake I thought wasn't going to be very soft, but once I worked it up, and I don't know if it's a stitch or a combination of this stitch and the hook, but it's actually pretty soft. So yeah, this is a vintage pattern and it worked up really nicely. So those are the 2 finished objects. Let's talk about the one that I'm going to frog. So this one was going to be like a patriotic granny ripple, and this was my own pattern, but as I started working on this side, I didn't like the way that it's going up, and I'm kind of having trouble figuring out how to make this side straight. I could put another half granny, but I think I would have had to change the stitch counts a little bit. So I decided what I'm going to do is I'm actually not going to frog it. I'm just going to set it aside for a little bit because it's more than I kind of want to mentally deal with right now to try to figure it out. I still love the colors and I love the way that it was working up. And I definitely want to do something patriotic, you know, inspired like the red, white, and blue. But this is going to kind of go into an undetermined UFO project. So this is going to become an unfinished object, and it's just going to sit until I have some kind of creative spark to dig into the pile that I have of UFOs and start working on it again. So this came off of my whips list for a total of 3 works in progress off. So I went from 20 down to 17. So this week I did start 2 new whips. Let me show you those. If you're a returning viewer, you know I love corner to corner blankets. And so with that patriotic blanket going on the UFO pile, what I did was take the white, the gray, and the turquoise, and I started working on this simple corner to corner blanket. So what I did was I just wanted to have the white and the gray, and actually you could use any accent color, but I don't have a lot of this turquoise color left, so I just wanted just a little hint of turquoise, and I think this is going to be a beautiful gender neutral blanket, and it's working up super quick. So this is all from maybe 2 hours of work. So it's working up nicely. I'm going to make this one about 36 inches by 36 inches to be donated. But it's super fun, and I'm having fun with the color palette for this one. So for my next work in progress, this is kind of like a fancy granny square blanket. And you can see I'm actually in the middle of joining this one right here when I set it down. But I wanted to kind of do a cool take on the granny square, just using the simple shape, but joining it in a way that makes the pattern kind of fun and interesting. So I started with 5 granny squares here in the middle with this white and light pink, and then did an outer edge of yellow kind of around that plus sign, then an outer edge of white. And now I'm building in pink here, and I'm going to put darker pink blocks here, and then kind of do this, I don't know, abstract edge, if you will. So I've kind of got the vision, and I don't know how it's going to turn out, so we'll see. But this has been a fun work in progress. I haven't even started with my ends. I kind of just started getting to work on it, but this is super cute. I love the colors. I had some extra pinks and yellows in my stash that I wanted to use up, and this is turning out great. So that's it for whips, but one thing I do have planned, and I'm actually going to get started on as soon as I post this video, is this rainbow waves blanket is almost done, and I need to do a tutorial for it. And I also need to start using up some of the yarn in my stash. So I've decided on colors. Let me show them to you. So the first color is going to be this cinnamon swirl cake. This is the color Bay, and I have 2 cakes of this. And so this rainbow pattern, one of the problems that I had with it is that it changes color every row, which means I had, I believe 100 rows, and that means I had 200 ends to weave in, one on each side, so starting and ending. So what I'm going to do differently when I film the tutorial is I'm going to use 3 colors and show you how you can carry the yarn up the sides. So the colors I've chosen are this blue as a complementary color and this green. So just kind of playing off of the colors that are already in this cake. Let's see if I can show you here. These are giant, but those are the colors I'm going for. This will be a cute little boy's blanket, and this is the next thing to go on the hook. I know this is kind of a super short video for the week, but I do have lots planned coming up, so hopefully I'll be able to show those to you soon. I did actually just pull out every single blanket that I have in my house that I've crocheted, and I'm going to be filming a video on that as well, so stay tuned this week. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, keep calm and crochet on.